Welcome to MetalNet. My name is Sarah, and today I have a special guest for you. If you've watched a couple weeks ago, you would have seen me interview a band called Budderside. Those of you who've been paying attention to my Instagram know that I'm really in love with this band. They were the first band signed to Motorhead Records by Lemmy himself, and I talked to their singer, Patrick Stone. The one person I didn't get to talk to during the band interview was Logan right here. This is Logan Nikolic of Budderside. He's the rhythm guitarist. Hi, Logan. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. We teased a little that you weren't there, but you were trying to make it to the interview. I know that you were. What happened that day?
It was scheduled for a certain time, and I was like on my way, but I was like leaving like just a few minutes too early of the day. That happened to be the day that I was moving apartments. So I was trying to get there. I was like trying to unpack boxes. Like, all right, I'm going. And then they're like, too late, we have to start.
So we teased a little that you weren't there, but I did ask folks to leave nice comments for you on that video, and some folks did, so you should check those out. But thank you for joining me today. The fun thing about getting to talk to you one-on-one is I get to actually learn a little bit more about you than I did some of the other guys. So I really kind of wanted to start at the beginning because I really love learning about how musicians started. And I find that for musicians, it always starts at a really young age. You were particularly young when you really got into music and started playing. How old were you, and what instrument did you start with?
Well, so, I mean, technically it started with guitar. I was 7. So, I mean, I had like the whole pots and pans things, as like a toddler, like 2 or whatever. My grandparents bought me like one of those plasticky little fake drum sets or whatever. But it really started, I actually started playing guitar because my dad plays guitar. And I started at like 6, 7, something like that. And I took like 2 or 3 lessons, and I decided that I did not like the teacher. And for some reason at this music school, that was the only guitar teacher. So I was like, Dad, I don't want to play guitar anymore because I don't like this teacher. So like, can I switch to something else? So I switched to drums. And when I go into my lesson, turns out that the guitar teacher was the same teacher as the drum teacher.
Oh no.
So then at 7, I was like, fuck it. I'm sticking with drums, I guess. I'm not going to move back again. So then I played drums for years. And then I decided, I'm going to go back to guitar. I'm going to start learning guitar again. And I picked up some of my dad's ones and started learning.
So was guitar kind of the thing? Like the guitar was the one that you really kind of wanted to start with, and it was really just like the experience with the teacher that made you switch?
I mean, I still love playing drums. I don't get to play it as much as I got an electric kit. It's next to me here. I got an electric kit recently. It's like the first time I played drums in years, really, since I moved to LA. But yeah, guitar is probably my bigger one, and it helped that my dad played it, so I always had that around. So it was like, that was kind of my go-to, because it was like, I already have them in the house. I can grab one, I can pick one up and strum or whatever.
So it sounds like you've been playing guitar for quite a while then.
Yeah, it was around, I started playing guitar like 10.
Okay.
Like actually taking lessons, like, and continuing with them, obviously.
Same teacher, or did you eventually get a different teacher?
I'm trying to remember it was a different teacher. I can't remember when I decided. I think, it was definitely a different teacher.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, so I moved countries in between when I started drums, when I picked up guitar again. And when I came back, I ended up with the same teacher again on drums. And then I started playing guitar. And then I had my dad had like a teacher that he liked, or like a guy that worked at a guitar store that he just like jammed with. And then like he would have lessons with him. So I started going to that guy.
That's cool. So is your dad a professional musician, or was he somebody who did it for the love of it?
No, he's played guitar since he was like probably a teenager as well, just like for fun. He never did anything with it. He likes to do like, he just likes, the blues and stuff like that. He likes to play a lot of like the blues jam tracks at home. He's always playing.
Cool.
And yeah, big influence on me in that sense, especially music wise and stuff like that, because we always had good music around the house.
So what were you listening to around the house when you were little?
So I was a weird kid because I was like heavily into like adult music, because kids listen to like kids music or whatever. I was like in kindergarten and like first grade, I was like the biggest Queen fan ever. That was like my band, like the first band that I got into. Huge Queen fan. I had every DVD. Like people would, like my friends would come over for like a sleepover or something like that. I would just put on Queen live concerts all the time. And it was Queen for like a long time. And then I was in probably like 5th grade, and then I started getting into like AC/DC. And I remember I was playing drums at the time, and I remember like a talent show, and I was living in Jacksonville, Florida at the time.
Wow.
Just kind of a religious area, I guess, because it's the South, so they're kind of religious or whatever. I remember I wanted to do Highway to Hell, and then they were like, no. So I did like Back in Black on drums or something. The talent show. I was like 10.
That's amazing. So you actually referenced living a few different places. So maybe we'll jump to that and then we'll go back to music. Sure. But I know in talking to you that you're Australian. You've obviously lived here, and then you moved back here after living in, was it Malaysia?
Yeah, so I was born in Australia, and then we moved to Houston, Texas for like 2 years or something like that. Moved to Malaysia for 4 years, and then we ended up going to Jacksonville, like I just mentioned, for like a year. And then we ended up back in Malaysia again from like 2006 until I moved here in 2016. So 10 years.
So when you moved back in 2016, I'm assuming that was after you graduated high school.
Yeah, I moved here. I went to music school, MI. That's where I met Sam and stuff like that as well.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we'll get into how you met the guys in a bit. How is it that your family moved around so much? Did your parents do something that brought them from place to place? Yeah,
my dad worked for IBM, a computer company. Specifically, it was in like the supercomputer world.
Oh, cool. So you had all this experience, but are your parents from Australia then? Like originally you said you're from there?
Okay, my mom's like Australian, and my dad's parents, they immigrated from Croatia, Yugoslavia.
Oh, wow. All right. Very cool. Yeah. So in moving around, you lived in all these different places and you were into music. You were into like just regular music, not like kiddie music or kiddie stuff. But I would imagine that like when you're going from like Australia to the States to Malaysia, if you're used to listening to certain things on the radio, that maybe it changes a little bit, especially when you're like in an Eastern country. When you were in Malaysia, did you feel like you had easy access to all the music you listened to? I mean, I know you kind of grew up in like the internet age, so it's a little different than when I would have grown up, but I imagine being like in an Eastern country, it's a little bit different than in Australia or the States.
It was definitely hard. It was kind of a whole different situation because I mean, I had a lot of like just my parents' CDs that they had and stuff like that. The radio didn't really play it. It was the business station. So it was like they would give like all the business news of stocks and like whatever, but then they would play like rock in between all that. It was mostly news, but then they would play like Clapton, and then they would play like stuff like, I don't know, it's weird. It was like the only station that I could find anything like that. Everything else is like top 40 or whatever. In terms of finding the music, yeah, I grew up in the internet age, definitely, and I fell into like the whole, first started with like the LimeWire thing, because you couldn't buy, like the CD stores, they were like overly expensive, and they didn't really have much of a rock catalog, I guess. So yeah, I did a lot of downloading stuff. Yeah. Illegal downloading stuff at the time.
That's funny. All right. So when you did start playing in bands, was it easy for you? Was it always easy for you to find other kids to start a band with, like particularly like in Malaysia or was it a little bit more challenging?
I think at the age I was at, it was just kind of like, oh, you kind of play this instrument, you kind of play this instrument, I play this instrument, let's play together kind of thing. So I don't think there wasn't really many people. I don't think, I mean, nobody that I played with is still like really like doing music as like a professional kind of thing. It's all just like, oh yeah, I still kind of play, or like I still play, but they're doing something else. So it was not the easiest to find people, but like you made do, just to have someone to play with. Yeah,
that's cool. So would it be fair to say that you got more serious about playing music, like looking to play it professionally and playing it with other musicians who were more serious after you graduated high school and like went to music school and met people like Sam who were kind of like-minded?
Honestly, I was always kind of I gravitated towards that. Like I always dressed like I was in bracelets, necklaces. Like I grew out my hair in like 6th grade or something like that. And before that I had like spiked hair, kind of punk and whatever. As a kid, I always gravitated towards like not just being like normal and doing like the normal kind of thing. I was always gonna go in a different direction, I think.
Yeah.
So I think the answer to that would be, yeah, I mean, I always knew that I was going to do something not normal.
Okay.
Music.
I was decided a long time ago.
Music, to be honest. I mean, I always like all art things. I like drawing and whatever, but music was what I was good at.
Yeah. Well, but Patrick told a really cute story about how he went to his dad when he was quite small and like tugged on his leg and pretty much told him he was going to be a rock star. So it, like, in your head, you already knew that as well when you were.
Yeah, I feel like, my teachers always kind of knew, like all my teachers in school, because I was like the little kid with like the long hair. I was the only one. Everyone else was like super normal in that sense.
Yeah. Like more clean cut and like.
I was the weird dude in skinny jeans.
So going back, what you talked about how you love Queen and you had you had great access to music through like your dad or your parents. What were the other bands that you were listening to, like when you were very little, and then as you got older? Who were the bands that really influenced you?
I mean, to me, as like a musician, AC/DC is probably like the biggest one. I mean, Bon Scott's from my hometown. Well, technically he's Scottish, but but as an Australian, he's from my hometown. He's from Fremantle, which is part of Perth. So like AC/DC has always been a big thing, and I think for most Australians who like rock, AC/DC is like up there. They kind of put him on a pedestal. There's a lot of Aussie rock that I just liked. I mean, I get that from like my family and stuff like that, who are all, they were my age in the 80s or whatever. So it was like the 80s rock and stuff like that of Australia, Cold Chisel, which was 70s, 80s, all that kind of thing. Like my mom was a like fitness instructor and stuff like that. She was an aerobics teacher, so she always had like Kylie Minogue and stuff like that on. Yeah. That kind of music. And then Dad's was like more the rock stuff.
That's cool. That's cool. So you got a nice diet of all different kinds of music.
I mean, like living in like Florida and like Houston, stuff like that. We would drive to school and we had like the classic rock station on or whatever, and it'd be like Boston and stuff like that. REO Speedwagon.
I love it. Yeah.
It's like rock.
All right. So so after you graduated high school, you decided to go to music school. I'm sorry, what school did you say you and Sam went to again? Was it MI? Oh, yeah, cool. MI. So what did you major in at Musicians Institute?
I did guitar performance, associate's degree.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And then were you able to finish your program?
Yeah, I finished. I graduated. I can't remember what year. Was it like 2018?
Probably, oh, cool. Yeah, so not so long ago, not that long ago.
Yeah, not too long ago. A few years now.
Yeah, that's cool. So that you said that's where you met Sam, and did you meet somebody else there as well from your band?
No, that's where I met Sam. I think Jeff went there for like a month.
Okay.
When he first came out here, and then I don't know, I can't remember his full story on that, but I think he went there for like a month or something like that, a couple of weeks or something. But yeah, I met Sam. I can't remember how I met him. It was probably in like the library or something like that. I can't remember how we met, but we met. And I remember going to see him play with Budderside. Yeah, it was Patrick's birthday, and they were playing the Whiskey, and I went to see him play with Budderside. And that was the first time I met Patrick. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think Sam actually at the time, he'd been playing with him a few shows, and I think he was going to be busy, so he like needed to fill in things. So he was having me try and fill in. And that's why I went to meet Patrick at the Whiskey, and it kind of fell in place a little bit. I jammed with him a few times, and it just didn't work out at the time. And then like a year, 2 years later, I guess it kind of fell more into place and stuff like that.
So when you officially were joining Budderside, was there an audition? Like, did Patrick put out a call for musicians, or was it more like word of mouth through Sam or somebody else that you knew?
It was because like, we all kind of knew each other at that point. I'd played with them a few times. I was meant to do the thing, and it just didn't work out at the time. So like when there was like the whole lineup kind of changing thing kind of starting, I came into that role.
Oh, okay. Because I think
kind of happened already,
Yeah, I think they were telling a story. I think Patrick was telling a story about how you had mentioned it too. Sam was supposed to do some dates and he couldn't. I can't remember if he was finishing school or what. I was wondering if maybe that was the reason it didn't work for you too, because I imagine that you would have had
it was school.
You would have
it was school that kind of got in the way too, to be honest. Because
yeah,
I can't remember. It was for a tour or something like that, and I can't remember what ended up happening. But then instead of me going out with them, they used the guy that I eventually replaced.
Okay.
Anyways, that's kind of how that worked. I don't know.
So you came into Budderside, and from all the stories I've heard from Patrick, the guys in the band, and even what I'm hearing now, it feels like it was really like feet in first, like Spiritual Violence was like either on its way to being completed, or like maybe by the time you got in, it was completely completed and videos were like on the way to being made. So where in the recording process did you come in for Spiritual Violence? Did you get to play on it at all?
I personally did not know. I didn't have anything recording wise to do with that one, to be honest. Yeah. But I joined just around the time that we were going. I think the album was like just done, and then I joined, so I just missed it. And then we went out for the Zen shoot, and we flew to Japan, and that was like the first thing I did with the band, was flying to Japan to do the video.
Amazing. So tell me, we talked a lot about videos with the band, but we talked a little bit more about Amber Alert and some of the other videos. What was Zen like for you? Like, first of all, like, how was it presented to you? Was it just like, get on a plane, you'll figure out what you're doing when we get there? Or did you know what the setup was of the video before you got to Japan?
I mean, I kind of knew a rough idea. It was like, we're going to Japan, like the director that we were using was there, and like the whole theme was like Japanese, obviously monsters inspired, like the ghosts and like the folklore and stuff like that. So that was kind of the thing we're going to play. We had to walk through the Shibuya crossing and stuff like that. So we needed to be there. It wasn't just like green screen stuff. We were actually there. And we rented like a TV studio thing that they did, like what's it called? They do like a lot of like Japanese movies or shows or whatever, like the traditional one. That's the one that we're playing in. And then we rented like I think it was a really old house. It was like the house where Patrick's acting in it with like the monsters, where all the monsters.
That really beautiful space. That
was a real house that was from like 1100, and it was like I think it's like one of those kinds of ones that are like they have like no nails in it or something like that. They just like pieced together. You know what I mean? The cool old Japanese architecture, ancient kind of thing. And that was kind of the house. And yeah, we just kind of we went out and we knew that we were filming. I didn't know the full location. I didn't have any pictures of locations or anything like that. No.
And how long was that video shoot?
I think we're there for like a week. It was like a week in like December at some point.
Okay, cool. So it was broken down, because I think when you guys did Amber Alert, that happened. It sounded like it started late in the day and went straight through the night for that one.
Yeah, the Amber Alert shoot, that one took a while, and we went till about 6 a.m.
Yeah, that's cool. What was that video like for you?
That one was really fun, to be honest. I mean, the whole set was really cool. We had Matt Pinfield and Carla was there and stuff like that. And that's my favorite video we've done so far. I think visually it's super appealing.
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite video. I think everybody in the band said that it was theirs as well. I mean, it's kind of perfect. It has like everything. It has a carnival theme. It's just got all these cool performers. You guys look amazing. Of Carla, like it's a win-win-win all around.
Yeah, definitely. And it's got like that little. We were kind of going for like almost like a horror-y kind of theme for every video. And I think it kind of worked out with that one too, because it was cool. It was like the right amount of like, it was kind of like the American Horror Story kind of thing, where like every single video is a different theme.
Yep.
I thought that one was so cool.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad to see that it's getting a lot of love and like winning, awards that you guys are submitting it.
It's quite popular, it seems.
Yeah. So was Budderside your first kind of like big signed band? Is this the first time you had the experience of making like big videos like that? Or had you had that experience before?
I did one video prior, but it was just like another like LA local band that I have played with. I think, and I did one video before that, but these videos are like, they're kind of taken to another level.
Yeah, I mean, these are full on cinematic, you know,
Yeah.
properly, full on properly done and award-winning videos, which is pretty cool. So I want to go back to your songwriting, and that's something you started doing when you were really young. And what kind of songs were you writing them? Were you always kind of leaning rock even as a kid when you were piecing together songs, or were you doing something else back then?
I started trying to write songs the second I started picking up a guitar. I feel like most people kind of do. They kind of like throw chords together, and then like they're like, I'm gonna see if like I can write lyrics to this or whatever. They were probably not very good, but as long as you have like supportive parents, they're like, yeah, they're great. You keep trying, and
Right.
they definitely got heavier. Like my first kind of round, I met this guy in Malaysia who kind of became like my musical mentor kind of thing. And he was amazing. He taught me like a lot of like the basics of recording and stuff like that. He worked in like a music store that had like recording capabilities, like just like a small kind of thing. So I'd go over and like, instead of, it started out as guitar lessons, but then it just morphed into like, let's write songs, and we just kind of wrote songs together and stuff like that. And at the time I wasn't really singing. I don't really sing now, but I went through a phase when I was like, nobody could sing like how I wanted them to do. So I was like, fuck it, I'll try it.
Yeah.
But at the time I was really young. I wasn't doing that. So I had my dad came in and he would sing for them for the recordings and stuff like that. And it was cool. It was just something fun to do. It was definitely like a good practice kind of, and father-son bonding kind of thing going on.
Yeah, no, that's really sweet. You should have started a band with your dad.
Yeah, right.
Done out everything you need right there. So you were putting together songs like a lot of people do, but I feel like you would have an advantage because not all kids play like two instruments, and you had played the guitar and the drums. When you were a kid writing songs, were you like doing like, I guess it makes it kind of know the answer to my own question, but were you like writing with the drums and the guitar, or were you kind of leaning towards like a little bit more towards guitar and lyric writing?
At that time, I wasn't really thinking about the drums. I had a band in high school where we did record with the same guy. We recorded like an album or whatever, like a high school kind of album kind of thing. And I wrote like, I played all the drums, I played the bass, and I played the guitar for all those things. And I sang, because at that point I started singing. And I definitely kind of started thinking like drum beats first sometimes, and then like what would be a cool guitar part of that. And I definitely do that now.
Yeah.
I try and think rhythmically, at least a lot of the time.
So I talked to both Patrick and the band about songwriting process and that. What's your personal songwriting song? So like if I came to you and said I need you to write a song for me, what is sort of your plan for how you're going to get that song written? Are you going to wait, till you're inspired? Or are you a little more methodical? Like, do you have a way of writing on your own?
It definitely depends. I generally like to like start with the riff, because I feel like the riff is, at least in like hard rock music and rock music, like the riff is the most important part to me, at least. Because that's kind of like what gets you like, oh, like if you hear like a really cool riff, it's like, oh fuck yeah, that's got now, and then I want to hear the rest of it. So I definitely try and start with the riff, and then wherever that riff goes, or where the drum, then I kind of think of like how the drums could go with that riff, and then where that could go to a verse, and then where that takes it. So kind of like just like bricks into place, like you put little spots into place. That's kind of like how I want to do, how I like to do it. And then, when I take it to like the guys, they'll be like, or you could do this, you could do this, and then we kind of change it, stuff like that. And it kind of works the same with the other guys, except I always like to include like what I'm hearing drum wise. So I have like a drum program that I do. But that's kind of how I do it. And
it sounds like a lot of you guys do like have that similar type of process, and then you kind of send it over to each other and work with different people. Yeah. Do you have a particular member of the band who you're most likely to send it to next? Like once you put your ideas together, is there a band member in Budderside that you lean towards sending it to next, or do you guys all?
Yeah, I always send it to Sam first, generally. Yeah, like I feel like Sam and I kind of just bounce stuff off of each other first, and then like we're like, if that's shit, he'll be like, that's shit, or something, and then we'll send it to the rest of them first. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So with Sam, I guess technically he's the lead guitarist and you're the rhythm guitarist. When you're figuring out who plays what on songs, does it kind of is it kind of organic? Like or is it just natural to know who plays what, or do you guys have like a way of deciding who's going to play what part on like on album or on stage?
It's funny because like when we go and like learn things, it kind of like we don't even think about it sometimes, and we'll just learn the opposite parts.
Oh,
like if if I write something and I write 2 different guitar parts that go together or something like that, and I send it to him, and then we kind of play it, he would already know the other one that I'm not playing. Sometimes it's
okay.
It's
so it kind of works out like.
Yeah, and then other times it'd be like, nah, I wanted to do this part or whatever. This works better because I wanted to do this vocal part and I can't play that at the same time as doing the vocal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it kind of works out.
I still think it's hilarious that Patrick didn't even want a lead guitarist once upon a time until he realized he needed one. Did you ever hear him tell that story? He was telling me like back in the day, he was like so against having like a lead guitarist, and he would do all the parts because nobody could play them the way he did. And then eventually he realized that he definitely wanted that. And so then he ended up with a Budderside with 2 guitarists, which I think is hilarious.
Oh yeah. I think part of that was also he kind of realized that like he liked moving around more.
Yeah.
He liked to, you know, not be glued to the mic stand the whole time. He could move around and stuff. I think that was a big part of it as well.
Yeah, well, it makes a huge difference, right? Because there's a world of difference between a singer who has to stand dead center on the stage and one that can like really move. And he's a mover, you can tell just by watching him perform even in videos.
Yeah, definitely.
So one of the things I saw you post on Instagram recently is the guitar right behind you, which I'm obsessed with. And I was wondering if you could talk about that a little bit.
This one
this
is my newest one. I have 2 of them. So there's a Mathias guitars. I don't know, you can't really see them. They're really cool. I got my 2 on there. But yeah, there's a Mathias. So they are owned by Greco. Well, so it's kind of complicated, I guess, but they were owned by Greco, and then I guess Greco has like the parent company, so they're owned by Greco or like they're partners or whatever, how that works. It originally started like, I think it was like the 60s or the 50s or something like that, with Tony Zamatis in the UK. He was building guitars, and I can't remember how he got it, but he noticed that like in like Fenders and stuff like that, they have like metal shielding and stuff like that to protect from like outside electric interference and stuff like that. And he's like, what if I put like a whole metal plate on top of the guitar to like cancel that hum or whatever? So he did. And he's like, that works. And it kind of looked cool, but it could look cooler. I think it was either his friend or he found someone who's a gun engraver. Mm-hmm. And he started engraving the tops. And then they started kind of looking like this a little bit. They were like a little bit different designs, I think, originally. But then they kind of felt this was kind of like their staple. They have like this one and the more Telecaster shaped one.
So is that a design that anybody could buy? Because that when I'm looking at that bottom of that almost reminds me of what you guys have on your Budderside website with the tarot cards.
That just worked out. But
that's crazy.
Yeah, this is an older model, I guess. I kind of I found like it was like a backstock, like they had one left, and I was like, I love that model. I'm glad you guys still have it. So I
thought it was custom because it felt like it really went with the layout on your website.
Yeah, no, and it works out because the model is called Aces and Eights. That's the model number. And Patrick's not first band, but like Patrick's old band, one of his old bands was named Aces and Eights. So I think that's kind of funny.
That is very funny. Yeah, I saw that and I'm like, that is one of the prettiest guitars I've ever seen in my life. Are you going to be bringing that one on tour with you?
Definitely. That's why I got another one so that I can have like the interchange, because I have 2 that kind of look very similar. I'll grab it.
I want to see the other one.
The other one, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing, a little bit of a different design. It doesn't have the thing at the bottom. It's more just all.
Oh, cool. All right. That's awesome.
But yeah, it's kind of the same thing. So now I have multiple for the stage, swap them out because I love them so much. And, you know, I put Pariah pickups in all my stuff because honestly, when I put them in nearly every single one of my guitars now, Pariah pickups, and they just completely change everything. They're just amazing. And Sean, who makes them, is such a good dude.
Awesome. Very cool. Yeah. So are you guys, I feel like you just started playing shows again. Did you recently play a show?
We haven't yet. Our first show is booked for August 8th.
Okay. So
Yes.
it's coming. And then
Yeah.
are you starting to see them being added to your books yet? Or is it still feeling like it's a little bit
kind of a little bit? We're waiting on some stuff, but I mean, we have Rocklahoma September 5th.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going out there, and I think we're trying to do some stuff around that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm looking forward to, because I know eventually you'll make it to Boston, which is where I am. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys live. What else do we have to look forward to with Budderside right now? What are you guys doing for the fans, and what are you putting out there?
We're working on some new music that we plan on releasing soon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how soon, but soon. And you know, everything that goes with a new song, single, album, videos and stuff like that. And I think we have some really cool ones that we're doing this time.
That's
better
awesome.
than the last. Like it's cool. And it's the first time that it's like all 5 of us are doing something together, writing, recording. And it's like, I don't know, I feel like it's gotten to the next level now.
Nice. So I was going to say, you guys must be really excited because now the band's really going to be in the studio together, putting in all of your ideas and all of your songs. Yeah.
I mean, we're all really excited to put that out there and have that out there, because we're really proud of these songs. Like, these are some of the best songs I think any of us have written in general. Yeah. So we're really excited.
Yeah. Any sort of particular vibe to the album? Like, is it particularly heavy? Is it like upbeat? Is it like themed in anything that you can share with us about it?
I don't know. It's got some heaviness to it. It's would I say it's heavier than Spiritual Violence? I don't know, but it's it's definitely more current is the term I would use.
More,
like, yeah, it's definitely more current, but in like a really, really cool way. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, for anybody at home, and I said this last time, but I'll say it again, anybody at home who didn't see the Budderside band interview, definitely check it out. It will be linked below. I also had a full-length interview with Patrick where we talked a little bit of the history of Budderside, definitely talked about the current lineup and obviously Spiritual Violence. But most importantly, make sure you follow Logan. Where can people find you? Are you on the Instagram? Are you on Facebook?
Mostly Instagram.
Mostly Instagram. Okay.
Logan Nikolic music. It's pretty simple.
Pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward.
That's awesome. And I'll have everything linked below for Logan and Budderside and everything else, so they can definitely check below for you. But thank you so much for joining me. I'm glad we finally got you on. I was so bummed that I didn't see you last time, and we had to give you, we had to tease you a little bit, but I'm glad you're able to come on. Looking forward to seeing you live and super excited about the next album.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.